Lu 20. 9-16. Compare Joe 5. 23. In the Christian congregation, those entrusted with special responsibilities as teachers in the Christian congregation deserve the support and cooperation of fellow believers. Heb 13. 17 They were worthy of double honor, including voluntary material assistance for their hard work in behalf of the congregation. 1-5. 17-18. See older man. However, all Christians were entitled to honor from fellow believers. The Apostle Paul counseled, in showing honor to one another, take the lead. Row 12. 10 As the individual Christian knows his own weaknesses and failings better than fellow believers do, it is only right that he put others ahead of himself, honoring or highly valuing them on account of their faithful work. PHP 2. 1-4 Needy and deserving widows were honored by receiving material assistance from the congregation. 1-5. 3, 9, 10. Among family members, a wife is rightly to manifest wholesome fear, or deep respect, for her husband as head of the family. F5. 33 This harmonizes with the preeminence given to man in God's arrangement. Man, not woman, was created first, and he is God's image and glory. 1 Co 11. 7-9. 1T2. 11-13 Sarah was a notable example of a woman who had deep respect for her husband. Her respect came from the heart, for Sarah referred to her husband as Lord, not merely for others to hear. O textoi acute miritra longo, Resurrection 783 Ingly caring for parents in later life. Compare Mount 15. 4-6. In the Christian congregation, one who failed to provide for an aged and needy parent was regarded as being worse than a person without faith. 1-5. 8 As the Apostle Paul pointed out to Timothy, the congregation was not to take on the burden of caring for widows who had children or grandchildren that were able to render material assistance. 1-5. 4. Toward rulers and others. Honor, or respect, is also due men in high governmental station. A Christian shows such respect, not to gain some favor, but because it is God's will. Personally these men may be corrupt. Compare Lu 18. 2-6. Act 24. 24-27. But respect is rendered to them out of regard for the position of responsibility for which their office stands. Row 13. 1, 2, 7. 1 PE 2. 13, 14 Similarly, slaves were to consider their owners worthy of full honor, doing their assigned work and not given cause for bringing reproach upon God's name. 1T6. 1. When others demanded that a Christian give a reason for his hope, he was to do so with a mild temper and deep respect, literally, fear. Though questions might be propounded in an insulting manner, the Christian would present his reasons with calmness and gentleness, not responding in an irritated, angry, or resentful way. Though not cowed because of fear of men, the Christian would manifest deep respect, or a wholesome fear, as if in the presence of Jehovah God and the Lord Jesus Christ. 1 P 3. 14, 15, FTN In this regard he could take as own example the angels, who, though greater in strength and power, do not present accusations in abusive terms. 2 PE 2. 11. Restoration. A bringing back to a former condition. Outstandingly, in the scriptures, in connection with the return of Christ, mention is made of times of restoration form of gr. A stasis of all things of which God spoke through the mouth of his holy prophets. Act 3. 20, 21. The King James Version here renders a station as restitution. The Greek word itself comes from po, meaning back or again, and ste literally meaning set down. The corresponding verb form is translated restore in Acts 1. 6. The Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, edited by G. Kittle, states that the basic meaning of the term is restitution to an earlier state or restoration. Translated by G. Bromley, 1964, Volume I, p. 389. It was used by Jewish historian Josephus in referring to the return of the Jews from exile. In papyrus writings it is used of the repair of certain buildings, the restoration of estates to rightful owners, and a balancing of accounts. The text itself does not specify what the things to be restored are, hence the all things must be ascertained by the study of God's message spoken through his prophets. Resurrection. The Greek word sis literally means raising up, standing up. It is used frequently in the Christian Greek scriptures with reference to the resurrection of the dead. The Hebrew scriptures at Hosea 13:14, quoted by the Apostle Paul 1 Cor 15:54, 55, speak of the abolition of death and the rendering powerless of Sheol Heb. Sheol. Gr. Hades. Sheol is rendered in various versions as grave and pit. The dead are spoken of as going there. Ge 37:35. 1 Kai 2:6. EC 9:10. Its usage in the scriptures, along with the usage of its Greek equivalent Hades in the Christian Greek scriptures, shows that it refers, not to an individual grave, but to the common grave of mankind, gravidum. S 32. 21-32. Re 20. 13. See Hades. Sheol. To render Sheol powerless would mean to loosen its hold on those in it, which would imply the emptying of gravidum. This, of course, would require a resurrection, a raising up from the lifeless condition of death or out of the grave for those there. Through Jesus Christ. The foregoing shows that the teaching of resurrection appears in the Hebrew text acute miritra longo, Resurrection 784. Christ himself when on earth performed resurrections. Lu 7. 11-15. 8. 49-56. Joe 11. 38-44. Only through Jesus Christ can resurrection, with everlasting life thereafter, be possible. Joe 5. 26. A sure purpose of God. Jesus Christ pointed out to the Sadducees, a sect that did not believe in resurrection, that the writings of Moses in the Hebrew scriptures, which they possessed and claimed to believe, prove there is a resurrection. Jesus reasoned that when Jehovah said he was the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob who were actually dead, he counted those men as alive, because of the resurrection that he, the God, not of the dead, but of the living, purposed to give them. God, because of his power, makes the dead alive and calls the things that are not as though they were. Paul includes this fact when speaking of Abraham's faith. Mount 22. 23, 31-33. Row 4. 17. God's ability to resurrect. For the one with the ability and power to create man in his own image, with a perfect body and with the potential for full expression of the marvelous characteristics implanted in the human personality, it would pose no insurmountable problem to resurrect an individual. If scientific principles established by God can be used by scientists to preserve and later reconstruct a visible and audible scene by means of video recording, how easy it is for the great universal sovereign and creator to resurrect a person by repatterning the same personality in a newly formed body. Concerning the revitalizing of Sarah to have a child in her old age, the angel said, "Is anything too extraordinary for Jehovah?" Ge 18. 14. Ge 32. 17, 27. How the need for resurrection arose. In the beginning a resurrection was not necessary. It was not a part of God's original purpose for mankind, because death was not the natural, purposed thing for humans. Rather, God indicated that he purposed the earth to be full of living humans, not a deteriorating, dying race. His work was perfect, hence without flaw, imperfection, or sickness. The 32. For Jehovah blessed the first human pair, telling them to multiply and fill the earth. Ge 1. 28. Such blessing certainly did not include sickness and death. God set no limited lifespan for man, but he told Adam that disobedience is what would cause death. This implies that man would otherwise live forever. Disobedience would incur God's disfavor and remove his blessing, bringing a curse. Ge 2. 17. 3. 17-19. Consequently, death was introduced into the human race by the transgression of Adam. Row 5. 12 Because of their father's sinfulness and resultant imperfection, Adam's offspring could not get a heritage of everlasting life from him. In fact, not even a hope of living forever. Neither can a rotten tree produce fine fruit, said Jesus. Mount 7. 17, 18. Job 14. 1, 2 The resurrection was brought in, or added, to overcome this disability for those of Adam's children who would desire to be obedient to God. Purpose of the resurrection. The resurrection shows forth not only Jehovah's unlimited power and wisdom, but also his love and his mercy, and vindicates him as the preserver of those who serve him. 1 So 2. 6 Having resurrection power, he can go to the extent of showing that his servants will be faithful to him to the very death. He can answer Satan's accusation that asserted that skin in behalf of skin, and everything that a man has he will give in behalf of his soul. Job 2. 4 Jehovah can let Satan go the full limit, even to killing some in a vain effort to support his false accusations. Mount 24. 9. Re 2. 10. 6. 11 The fact that Jehovah's servants are willing to give up life itself in his service proves their service is, not for selfish considerations, but out of love. Re 12. 11 It also proves that they acknowledge him as the Almighty, the universal sovereign, and the God of love, who is able to resurrect them. It proves they render exclusive devotion o texto e acute miritra longo, Resurrection 785 and her seed. He will bruise you in the head and you will bruise him in the heel. GE 3. 15. 1 Originally causing death to be removed. Jesus said to the religious Jews who opposed him, "You are from your father the devil, and you wish to do the desires of your father." That one was a manslayer when he began, and he did not stand fast in the truth, because truth is not in him. Job 8. 44 This is evidence that it was the devil who spoke